Okay, so hello guys. So this will be my first video lecture about the introduction to biology. So this will be our first topic. So this is the start of Gen Bio 1. So let's get to it. Now, our objectives for this video presentation is to define the meaning of biology and identify different characteristics of life. Okay, because we're talking about biology. Of course, once we're talking about biology, we will discuss about life. Okay, but first, let me introduce to you to Mr. Rat. Okay, so he will be my helper in discussing about this matter. Now, the first question before we start discussing about biology itself is, what is life? Life is very deep, okay, very vague to answer, and life is very big to understand. Okay, so let's first discuss about life. How do we know that something is living? Diba? So Mr. Rat also agrees with me that that question is too deep. So to talk about life, we need to have a basis. Okay. So because we're in a scientific class, so we'll talk about more on the scientific side of that question. And to answer that, we need to have the study about life, and that is biology. Now, biology is a branch of science that deals with life itself. So, the word biology comes from two words. The first one is bios, which means life, and the other one is logos, which means study of. So, if you put them together, biology means it is the study of life. Now, the second question that I would like to ask you is, how can you say that something is living? Hmm, that's a very difficult question. Now, most of you will tell me that um, during your grade 8 discussion, your teacher told you that all living things are made of cells. So if you're made of cells, you're alive. Okay, that's correct. So that's 100% true. But the question is, what else? Can you see your cells inside your body? Remember, the cells are microscopic. So how can you tell the other person beside of you that you are living if you don't see your cells? Right? So, can you give me other characteristics in order to tell if something is living? If you don't have, okay. So, the answer for that is there are qualities of objects or something. There must be equality. There must be qualities for us to know if something is living. And those are the different characteristics of life. Okay? So if you don't know, please listen to the discussion. So like this one. So how did you know that the swans are alive and this rock is not moving? This rock is not alive. So that means um, the swan is made of cell and the rocks are not made of cell. Okay, correct. Now, other than that, what is the most evident um, determinant that the swans are alive while the rocks are not alive? If you answer if one of them moves, okay, that means they're alive. If it doesn't move, it's not alive. Okay, so I'll reject that. So I think that's not a good indicator of something that is living. So for example, if a rock moves down, example a hill, because of gravity, is it alive? No. But it's moving. Diba? So that is not a good indicator. So there are 5 characteristics that we need to look into in order for us to know if something is living. So the first of them is, just take this down, organization. So all living organisms are made up of organized structures. Okay, organization means that it started from a simple part and then it builds up into something very complex. So let's see a more in-depth description of organization. So as I said, organization starts with the simplest and the smallest structure. And the smallest and the simplest structure in an object is an atom. Now, an atom is the smallest chemical unit of a type of pure substances or element. Example is carbon atom. Now, there are smaller particles other than the atom, and that is your subatomic particles, which are your electrons, protons, and neutrons. But they do not have the quality that gives a unique characteristic for it to be determined as an element. So the smallest chemical unit that has a unique quality of a pure substance is called an atom. Now, if an atom bonds together with another atom, you can form your molecules. Now, the molecules are a group of joint atoms. Now, for example, molecules can be found in a living organism. Now, in a living organism, there are what we call as biomolecules. So, molecules that make up life. One example is your DNA. Now, the DNA makes up who you are, and that makes up almost every living organism. For example, Mr. Rat here is made up of biomolecules that composes its whole entity. Now, after molecules, you have your organelles. Now, organelles are made up of many kinds of biomolecules joined together. Now, an organelle is a membrane-bound structure that has a specific function within a cell. For this example, we have your chloroplast. Now, chloroplast is found in plants. Now, as you all know, plants make their own food with the use of the process photosynthesis. And this chloroplast right here is the reason why plants can produce food. Now, inside this chloroplast, this is where photosynthesis occurs. Okay, so this is important. Now, different organelles joined together that forms a complete unit is called your cells. Now, the cell is the smallest kind of object or smallest kind of entity that can perform life. So that means this is the fundamental unit of life. Now, as you said, if the cells are present in something, that means it's alive, correct? Now, and the reason for that is because the cells are the basic unit of life. Now, for example here, the chloroplast is part of your leaf cell. Okay, so that means it produces food for plants. Now, if cells are joined together, you can form tissues. Now, tissues are specialized cells that function in a coordinated function. So the next one is an organ. Now, an organ is a structure consisting of different tissues organized to interact and carry out specific function. So, an organ is made up of different tissues that work together to form a specific unit with specific function. Now, for example, this organ, which is the leaf, is made up of different tissues that performs for photosynthesis, for plants to have food. Now, I'll stop this for a while and then I'll add another video presentation after this. Okay?